2% doesn't sound like much. But 2% of the entire planet, of every person on it, that's more than the world's 10 largest cities combined. It's 140 million people. And like that, they were gone.
All the way from Rhode Island in California, welcome to the Leftovers MegaCast with the Living Reminders and the Guilty Remnant podcast. We're podcasts dedicated to the show The Leftovers on HBO. We're still here and so are you. So let's talk about our favorite show.
It's the darkness of the dawn, and your friends are gone.
I'm your host, Mary Larson from the Living Reminders podcast.
My name is Blake, also from the Living Reminders podcast.
I'm Dylan Schuck from the Guilty Remnant podcast.
And I'm Tiffany Tomaszewski, and I'm also from the Guilty Remnant podcast.
Woohoo! I feel like we need to do a virtual high five, the four of us. Oh my goodness, I love it. You know,
we just high-fived the air right now.
Oh, me too.
I wasn't going to say it out loud, though.
I totally did. 2 hands up.
Wait.
So I got you guys.
Am I the only cool one that did not do the actual high five? Because I definitely didn't do it.
Yeah, I noticed. Whatever. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning into the MegaCast. We are so excited to join up, and let's just get something out of the way. Dylan and Tiffany, what did you guys think about the season overall? Your overall opinion?
You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting to see the comparisons from the book. And I know Dylan and I talked about this a lot on our podcast, and I'm sure you guys did too. We had a little bit of a hard time in the beginning. It was a little slow moving, more so than the book was, but it really picked up, and I think it was really great for people who stuck around to see everything that it captured. Overall, it was one of those things where it was heavy, you know, and you really had to get in the mood and like prep yourself for it, but it was very good. And obviously we're doing a podcast on it. We love to dissect and analyze everything. So it was a wonderful show for that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that after the 2 boats and a helicopter episode, with the Matt Jameson episode, I think it had an episode or 2 where it was a little slow. But I think the second half of the season was just firing on all cylinders. And I mean, I loved it. And it's funny that when I recommend, I really liked the book when I first read it, but when people ask, you know, should I read the book? Is it worth listening or is it worth reading? I almost always say no. If you've seen the show, then don't read the book. It's going to make you think that the book is a lot more than it is, because the show is way more complicated than the book, and it has way more mythology to it. And the book was a more simple story of a man and trying to deal with his life after the departure. And this has like a mythological feeling to it, the way that Lost did and that kind of stuff. So that's my 2 cents.
What did you guys think?
Oh man, I still don't know what I think. That's the problem. I still don't know who I'm rooting for. You know, I am a sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns girl. So it was pretty hard for me to know who to root for and who to cheer for and who I was excited for on this show, because everyone seemed to have their demons. But once I understood that was the gist, that I was supposed to understand that, and to understand that everyone was human, I kind of got over that a bit and really delved into all these Easter eggs. Just like you said, the mythology. It got pretty deep, and I'd have to watch the show 2 or 3 times to pick up on things, and having these conversations on Twitter and after the episodes really made it a whole different experience. I think if I was just watching this show and not listening to podcasts or partaking in one, it would have been a very confusing show. And that's what I found. A lot of my friends who know we do this podcast are like, I don't understand anything's going on. And I tell them, I'm like, I didn't either. I kind of still don't. But I think things kind of sometimes make sense, and when they don't, you just roll with it. And that's my gist with it. I like this show a lot. It is not a good show to watch if you've had a bad day. Unless you look at it and you're like, oh, at least I'm not Kevin, you know? I mean, it's one way to look at it.
Unless Kevin's wearing sweatpants, then you want to be Kevin.
Oh my God. Yes. Or no Kevin, at least, and watch him jog.
The show is very interactive, too. That's like, I feel like it's the most interactive show that I've ever seen.
Yes,
where you really feel like you're getting involved in things. People are getting the magazine and checking out and really dissecting scene for scene. And it was very impressive to me that they were able to do that.
And HBO was so great with that too, just with their marketing. Like they really wanted people to get involved.
Yes.
Yeah. And they sent out seriously like hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. I know to you guys, and I know to us as well.
Tablet stuff too, right? The tablet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that thing is at least $60 to $80. You're like, no problem.
For those of you who don't know,
if you can like use that for other things.
I
like
think
if
you can. It seems to be just like a card. Yeah, because it looks to be just like, when people have those virtual photo albums. That's kind of like what it is.
Oh, picture frame?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a digital picture frame. Okay, yeah.
So I bet, oh my God, maybe I can give it to someone as a Christmas gift. My mom would not know the difference. She'd be like, what is this pretty white leftovers box? And I'm like, Mom.
Just stop wasting your breath, Ma.
Yeah,
it's fine, all right?
What did you think about it, Blake? Let's hear about you and how the Kool-Aid tastes.
Oh, through the rose-colored glasses. The Kool-Aid is very good, my friend. It is very good. Ultimately, I mean, you guys all know, and I'm not shy about it. I am a total Damon Lindelof fanboy. That's just the way that I am. And I was excited about this show, number one, because it was Lindelof, but also because it gave me an excitement that I felt when I was watching Lost. It reawakened that excitement about Lost. There were things in the show that you could pick out and you could search for and try and understand, and you had to meet the process. You had to meet the show halfway in order to understand it. And that's why I thank God that we have podcasts like this, like our podcast and your guys' podcast, for total nerds who search this stuff out and they explain it and they try their best to engage with it, because without that, I don't think the show would be as successful. It like how Lost kind of engaged this whole new process of watching TV. I think The Leftovers is carrying that forward. I know we're doing a podcast for Outlander right now, and we're watching Outlander, and it's a great show. It's beautiful. It's wonderfully written. Ron Moore is I'm not going to say a genius, but he is excellent and at his craft. But the show, it holds your hand, and it tells everything for you. It tells it to you, and I'm a little bored with that. I just wish I could engage it more. Have you guys had an experience like that with a show?
Yeah, it does. See, this is how I kind of compare it. I don't know if you guys. I know Blake and I have talked about 24, but the makers of 24 now like a lot of them are working on the show Homeland, and I feel like Homeland is a smart version of 24. I feel like they took 24, which was really quickly done and comparatively, and they made like a smarter, more concise like version of it in a way. There's not as big of a badass as Jack Bauer. Let's face it, there never will be. But that's just kind of how I look at that. I feel like The Leftovers is a smart version of Lost. Not that Lost wasn't smart, but it's just I feel like they learned from the stumbles that they may have had with Lost, or that people perceive as stumbles, and kind of improved on them and made it a smarter version and a more compact version of Lost.
Ooh, you're
getting virgin. I know that you love Lost. I know. I don't mean it's another way of telling the story that Lost told. I just mean that they're doing a smarter, in my opinion, a more modern story in the same kind of way they did Lost. And I think that Homeland does the same thing to 24.
I would agree with that one. I think 24 was a great show for when it was, and the time that it was produced. Like, you had really never seen anything like it. It was very cinematic in its own way. But that's the beauty of like this new age of television, like this I don't want to say golden age because that's way overused, but it's like this new premium cable television where everything is just pared down. It's brought down to its essential core. And that's why I was actually excited about the new 24 when it came out, Live Another Day, because it was kind of like this premium cable show where it was only 12 episodes and they had to get right to the point of the story. There was no fluff. There was no Nikki and Paolo episode, you know? There was none of that crap. It was just, hey, let's get right to it.
Tattoos.
Yeah. You know, I think I'm the only person on the planet that enjoyed Stranger in a Strange Land, that episode.
I didn't mind it as much as everybody else does.
I thought it was great. I don't know.
I hated it.
Did you really?
Hated it.
Everyone hated it. I don't see why everybody hates it, but I do recognize that everybody hates it.
All right, so enough from us. Let's get to the whole point of this podcast. Let's hear what our listeners had to ask and also thought. So, Dylan, why don't you read what Shakita sent in?
Why do you think Holy Wayne was knocking up all those Asian women? What do you guys think?
Oh, he's got the fever. I think that's what it is. He's got the fever.
I think he got drunk with his power and looked at himself as a god and wanted to spread his seed and everywhere and have all, more disciples. And I think he really thought he was a god. And I think that he was trying to live out that fantasy through it. So. Oh,
you see, now I was wondering why it was just particularly Asian women, but if you're just talking about women in general, oh yeah, no, he's definitely trying to live out his own little ability, I suppose.
Oh, see, I think that he does have an ability. And I think he knew that one of his children is going to be a big deal. And he just thought, you know what? I'm going to play it safe and I'm going to have a ton of children then. Just in case, just in case I need a backup.
Yeah, I agree with Mary. I hadn't thought anything about why they were specifically all Asian women, but at the same time, we only saw 2 of them, so we don't know necessarily. Or, I'm sorry, no, at the compound, were they all?
Yeah, they were all Asian girls.
They were all Asian. Okay. So,
now,
never mind, scratch that.
If the question is why are they all Asian, I don't think any of us are qualified to answer that question, but...
He's got the fever.
About why he's knocking up women in general that happen to be Asian, I think that answers that question.
I like the next question that you got here. What is this?
What is the bridge?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. That's yours.
Ultimately, I really feel like the bridge, we talked about this on our last cast, which was the bridge is not just, oh my God, it's going to be Jesus baby and it's going to be something totally special. I think the bridge is just the ability to give people happiness. And if he has multiple babies, they are meant for specific people, at least in his eye, people that need that baby to move on. Nora would be someone that obviously that we saw at the end of the show who needed that child to help move on with the rest of her life. And I think it's not something that's sinister. I don't think it's like the Antichrist or whatever. I just think it's this ability to get people to get on with their life. I don't know, Mary, what do you think?
I totally disagree. I think Nora's new baby is going to be like Chucky doll in real life. I am so nervous about all of these babies. I really do. I think they're going to be like gremlins. I have no idea, but Wayne just freaked me out way too much, and anything that comes from Wayne, aka all these kids, scare me. How about you guys?
I don't think they're going to be Chucky dolls. I think
or gremlins.
Nora's is going to be he's going to be okay. But I'm curious as to Blake, when you mentioned that Wayne was having these kids with the intent that they were going to go to people to kind of heal them. Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
What made you say that? Like, what made you think that? Because we were talking about these kids, he's wanting to spread his seed, and these children are potentially going to be very important, or one specifically is supposed to be, the one. Do you think both of those things still, or are you saying now that these children are going to serve a purpose to make people move on and be happy with their new lives?
Yeah, I think he told each of them, and that this is just me inferring, and this is me meeting the content halfway. I'm inferring that he is trying to convince each of the little Asian girls that they're important, which makes them want to carry through with this pregnancy, make sure that they deliver this baby with like total confidence that it's going to happen. And as long as they do that, he's telling them each of them, they're the one. And in a sense, they are. They are extremely important because they're giving somebody the ability to move on. If anything, you see Wayne taking people's like displeasure and like their problems, and he's giving them the ability to be happy with themselves. It may not make them happy, but it gives them this opportunity to just get on with their life. And I think that's what's happening. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not smart enough for the show.
Now, do we think, the next one was kind of like, do you think the Holy Wayne's abilities are real? I kind of want to take that a step further and say, which of Holy Wayne's abilities do you think are real?
Well, let me ask you this. What's the delineation between which abilities?
Well, we saw a couple supposed abilities from him, right? We saw the ability to predict the future. Mm-hmm. Saw the ability to heal people with a hug. We saw the ability to always have your shirt off on scene at every single time that he has an opportunity to.
And find brown underwear.
And brown underwear. He found brown underwear.
And just be adorable.
That's a magical ability in itself. So
I've been literally looking for brown underwear every time I go to a clothing shop, and I still have not been able to find it.
Is that why?
I have not been able to find brown underwear. It's ridiculous. And that's not a lie.
So which ones do we think are real, and why?
I think they're all real. And I feel like his theme song needs to be, because I'm happy, clap along. Yeah, I feel like he is just bringing happiness everywhere. Seeing the future, yes. I mean, Wayne, in my opinion, has some powers that we do not understand. We still don't understand why people disappeared. So, as I said, I believe in unicorns and magic, and there is some magical stuff going on with Wayne. He's definitely got a lot. Now he's dead, but he had a lot of powers, and I believed they were all real. I just don't know if they were good.
And I think to add to that, within the context of the show, the government believed that they were real. I mean, they're going after this guy like a bat out of hell, and they're trying to just shut this guy up. And it's not just because, he's a nice dude or he's kind of scary. It's because, he's got some stuff going on about him. And whether or not his ability to heal is 100% accurate or completely true, I don't know. I think it's probably more of a Band-Aid, ultimately. I think it's a Band-Aid. It's something that it exists going forward. But you guys saw it, too, with Nora. As soon as she saw that her family member is sitting in her kitchen, she just fell apart. And even she admitted to the fact that, I've been trying to move forward, and I've been trying to look for a shortcut, and that shortcut didn't work for me. So is Wayne's ability a shortcut? I think so. I think it's real, but only for a certain amount of time. I don't know. How about you guys?
I'm still on the fence. Real, but I also feel like his ability to heal is in large part a placebo. I think people want it to be real so that they believe in it, and they look to him to help get rid of their pain.
I also like the idea of it being a Band-Aid, like you said, or I think that it being a Band-Aid or it being a placebo, I think they're both plausible, but I think those are both different things, right? Mm-hmm. I had gotten in trouble because in the book it pretty much seemed like his ability was real, so I kind of carried about his ability was real, and then all these viewers got mad at me because they felt like I had given a spoiler. And it's funny that they purposely make. I don't think they'll ever answer that question, right? But the ability to predict the future, there's nothing that he seemed to have been wrong about when he predicted the future.
Correct.
So I think that one is an ability he had for sure. I think that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I think that his ability to heal people may be more, is he healing it, or is he Band-Aiding it, or is it placebo? I don't think as much placebo, because we didn't hear anybody that hugged him that it didn't work. But it could be. I think that it would be one of those, because he doesn't seem to have the ability just to completely take away people's pain, because Nora's pain was still there.
One of the things that I liked about this show was that it never intentionally lied to you. Every time that it inferred that Kevin was crazy, with the bagel and all that other crap, it ended up telling you, no, he's not crazy. He's not losing his mind. And the same thing goes with Wayne. Every time it inferred that maybe he wasn't really doing the things that he thought he was doing, it ended up telling you, actually, yeah, he did kind of see his death. He did kind of get Kevin's thoughts in his brain. Kevin ended up getting, which I think is his wish, which is his family. It never intentionally lied. It always lived up to what it was telling you.
I really like you saying about the Outlander that you're watching. I haven't seen that, but I know that it's gotten good reviews. But I really like your analysis that it holds your hand. And the one thing that Leftovers doesn't do is hold your hand. And I think that's a really good way to put that. Why do you guys think Lori left her family? And don't say the pooped baby. I do not agree. So she's asking for her opinion, but saying if her opinion is something she doesn't agree with, we can't say it.
I think because her marriage was failing, and she didn't know. She is a counselor who probably works a lot with couples. Like, you know, it seemed like she, that's one of the topics that maybe they would talk about, is dealing with people when they break up. And it would have been a hard break for her professionally. And I totally do think some of the poofed baby, gosh, that would have totally pushed her over the edge.
I don't like the term poofed baby. I think that I don't like that term.
Okay, thank you.
Well, because all I could think of is Fots baby. You know, like the whole time is Fots baby. Because we all know that you refer to Fots as poofs.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, I do. I think that Lori had a lot of difficulties with Kevin, and then once her pregnancy was no longer happening, I think it pushed her over the edge.
I think so too. I think she also kind of she believes she had run the gamut with her kids, and if she no longer felt useful to her children. And then when the poof baby did happen, when the fot baby did happen, she just kind of lost it and she freaked. And whether or not she joined right away or she waited a little bit longer, because I think she did. She waited a little bit of time. Maybe she tried to live her life, but she just couldn't get that out of her brain as her family started to fall apart. That's why she joined.
I agree.
I think that her, and I mean, I agree with a lot of things you guys said. Just to add on to it, I think that Patty predicting this had an impact on her too, because she seems to follow Patty for a reason. I think that they did that to show that she does have an opinion on that. Do you guys think Lori knew Gladys's fate before the stoning?
No, I definitely don't. I think that was all Gladys and Patty the whole way.
I agree with Blake. I don't think she knew. I think she was so messed up when she went to the diner. Gosh, she was just all taken back. So I don't think Lori knew either.
You know, I think she knew.
Really?
Because
I agree.
Yeah, I remember. And Dylan and I actually talked about this because I think it was Patty and Lori shared a nod that morning, right?
Wait, no, wasn't that Patty and Gladys who shared the nod?
Patty and Gladys had the nod, like, okay, yes, it's going to happen today.
Okay.
But I feel like I remember something also happening with Lori.
I know what it is. It's when she got to the hotel, she had a flashback of the stoning. She had it showed her seeing the stoning in her head and her like shaking her head as soon as she got to the hotel. It showed like her kind of having, which I interpreted
she was feeling
as a
guilty
flashback.
about it.
Correct.
Oh, so you're saying because she has the flashback, then right. she knew it. Was she there? That's the thing.
I think she was there.
And the reason I think that too is because you kind of see her a little bit sort of caving and like falling away from the I mean, that's just kind of what I was perceiving, and Meg was kind of rising up a little bit, and I think that was when she was sort of starting to falter and question what she's doing here. Mm-hmm. Because she was clearly, like, you know, feeling guilty about knowing that was happening.
So you think Lori was one of the stoners?
Yep.
I don't think she was necessarily one of the stoners, but I think she was privy to that information that it was going to happen.
Quickly off topic, what do you guys think about my sudden theory of the week that Kevin was one of the stoners?
I don't think
No.
No, you don't think so?
Nope.
Is that just my delusions of grandeur?
Yep.
But remember, a broken clock is right twice a day, so you can keep throwing out things and eventually you'll be right. That could be right. I just didn't get that from it. But I do really think that Lori was there. And also off the topic, just before we move on, because those questions are wrapped up with that. Do you guys, I think that it would be a really cool thing if they did a flashback episode for episode 9 of season 2 of right after the departure, in the same way that they did it leading up to the departure in the season.
What do you mean?
Episode 9.
Yep.
The first season, they had that flashback episode.
Okay, yep.
I would love to see a flashback episode on episode 9 of season 2 that picks up as soon as that episode ends.
Oh, okay,
so
I understand.
The aftermath is
immediately after.
Yeah, immediately after. So we get to see how everybody, and maybe see how Lori became a member of the Guilty Remnant and that kind of stuff.
I think that was good because I loved hearing Kevin explain what was happening after the departure and how he was like, the phones were down and people would ask him for my help and I didn't know what to do. I just kept going and I went to go see my kids. I think that would be awesome too. I totally agree with you.
Oh my gosh, me too. Tiffany, we got an email from Paul, so why don't you take care of that for us?
We did. Okay, so we touched on this a little bit before, but Paul wants to know, did a deer really break in and do that damage to Kevin Jr.'s kitchen? The audience assumes that this is what happened based on Kevin's input, but isn't there a possibility that this happened some other way?
Sometimes I think it's Kevin. That? Sometimes I think Kevin is the deer, and that Kevin ripped apart the kitchen. Because I don't think other people have seen the deer. I was doubting that other people could see the dogs, and other people see the dogs. And I was doubting other people could see Dean. Other people see Dean. But has anyone else seen the deer, aside from the deer that was hit by the slut?
We were calling it Esmeralda.
Yeah.
Dean saw a deer because he saw the dogs eating the deer in the pilot.
But I don't think Dean's real all the time.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think that Kevin, I don't really know. I don't get this show so much, so my hands are up in the air.
I'm with you, honey. Honest to God, I think this was Kevin all the way. I think he went into his own house and he flipped out in like blackout Kevin mode. Because the way the damage was done, it was like so high up in the cabinets and all that, like, it was like really screwed up.
Deer are tall.
Yeah, but
and remember the promotional episode or the promotional picture of Kevin punching a wall?
Yes.
I kind of think, I don't know if we'll ever get that answered. I don't think that the show cares to answer that.
I agree. I don't think it's as important as we're making it out to be. But honestly, I think it was Kevin. What do you think, Dylan?
I agree. Like I said, I think it was Kevin. I mean, I don't think they'll ever touch on it, but.
Do you think it's important that Tom has refused Wayne's hugs? If so, why? What is the compare and contrast that the writers may be setting up here?
I think Tom doesn't want to drink the Kool-Aid, so he's just all set. He wants to keep it real and not be under Wayne's spell. So I think that's really smart.
Because we all know I'm the one who drinks the Kool-Aid. And ultimately, I think it's because his mother told him, don't forget. Don't try to forget. It doesn't work. And if you try, in her professional opinion, it's just going to lend you like a lot of problems. And that's why I think he refused it, because he wants to remember. He needs to remember.
There's a reason they put that scene in there. I think that's the answer to that. I think I completely agree with you on that.
And this one is very interesting. Do you think that Wayne is stealing the souls from those he hugs? And this kind of goes back to, Mary, what you were saying about feeling that Wayne is somewhat sinister.
I would have never thought that, Paul, but now I'm creeped out. And like maybe,
oh great,
maybe he's like Rumpelstiltskin and has, some little contract that when you give me a hug, I take your firstborn or something creepy.
And we have our first Once Upon a Time mashup.
So I don't know.
I don't think he's stealing the souls, but I do think that it was showing him seeming like he had a constant hangover in the end of the show, toward the end. I feel like he was, quote unquote, taking the pain, how he said he can take it. I think that it was going to him and it was adding up.
Yeah, in fact, I think I would argue the opposite, because I think it was taking something from him. It was taking a part of his soul away. It's kind of like the Horcruxes in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And yes, I made the first Harry Potter reference, and not Mary.
That.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Each Horcrux was a part of Voldemort, and I think each time the guys hugged, it was a part of Wayne that made it happen.
Do you think that the GR is a suicide cult? And if not, how else would you interpret why Patty committed suicide in Caro?
I think it's an option. Like, it's optional, like the AP students can, die. And if you're just part of the regular crew, you just need to do your job and, like, steal pictures and stuff. So I hope not everybody. I think that it's a price that they have to be willing to pay. But as we saw with some of the characters in the GR during that huge fire, I mean, some of them are changing their minds. That one woman that was hugging Reverend Matt, she was all set. She did not want to drink the Kool-Aid.
So it's like a lease with an option to buy?
I think so.
It's a rent-to-own kind of deal.
What do you think, Blake?
I think you're right, honey. I think, well, I think if you're into the GR, dude, like
if you're varsity.
If you have varsity,
okay, that's how it's
you know, like you're gonna croak and you're gonna be cool with it, and that's gonna be the end.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with that. I think the people that are super high up, they kind of know that they've gotten into this so far that at the end of the day, or a certain amount of time, they're gonna have to be quote unquote sacrificed.
I think something like Heaven's Gate, right? The purpose of that was to kill yourself, right? From what I know, and what do I know about that cult? I'm sure they knew it a lot better than I did. But I think the the Remnant, they kill themselves if it's a means to an end. They use suicide or killing themselves or whatever as a tool. I don't think it's about killing themselves. I think it's about progressing what they need to do. If committing suicide is going to catapult the message upwards, then they're committed to doing it.
Yeah, they're about protecting themselves and getting their opinions out, about their cult. It's kind of like a little bit of modern times. It's like the NFL. It's always about protecting the shield. And if you have to do what you have to do to protect the shield.
See, I would stay JV because the JV people still have pancakes. They don't have to eat the oatmeal, and they don't have to die. So I would not. Yeah.
Do you think Meg is JV, or do you think she's varsity?
Oh, she went up.
Yeah, you think so?
She definitely went up.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yes. All right.
I know that. Just as a question, do you guys think that there's going to be maybe a Meg taking over the Guilty Remnant and Lori versus Meg kind of situation going on? Is she going to be the enemy?
Well, I think that Meg is definitely taking over the GR. That last episode, she was like a mini Patty, dude. Like she's not fully
awful.
converted.
She was a skinny Patty.
Oh, she's a skinny, better looking Patty. Because as we all know, you cannot ugly up Liv Tyler. No matter what you do, it just doesn't happen. But I think that Lori's done with the GR. I think she's completely done. She's moved on, and I think she realized that she screwed up big time by making that choice. And but I think Meg has moved up definitely.
Oh, I hope we haven't seen the last of Meg. I love Meg's character, and I love Liv Tyler.
Me too.
Right? Oh my God. Maybe because she can speak Elvish. Elvin. So our friend Chris wrote in, and he said the feral dog returns to Kevin because it contains the soul of Kevin's lost offspring. Right? Do you guys believe this? How do you feel about it?
I kind of like this one.
It's very Buddhist.
Yeah, it's a little bit of reincarnation going on here. I wasn't on board as much as Dylan was with the animal parallels throughout the entire season, but I kind of hopped on towards the end here. But I like this idea.
Dylan, I have you back on this one, bro. Like totally, animal parallels the whole way. Team animal parallel.
And they all made me question it because now we're talking about Kevin being the deer, and then I'm like, wait a second, why did I even? So I'm always getting tossed back and forth as far as those goes. Now, as far as the feral dog being Kevin's lost offspring, I think it's a little out of thin air. I don't think there's any really evidence to support it, but there's no evidence to disprove it. So I think it's a possibility, absolutely.
I think so too. I'm going to lean more towards no, only because there is, like you said, Dylan, there's no evidence to disprove it. There's no smoking gun either way. I would say, however, that the feral dog becomes unferal, if that's a word, as soon as all this stuff is over. And as soon as the pilot is over. And is that because he's a parallel to the Guilty Remnant? Maybe the Guilty Remnant have fulfilled their purpose, and now the dogs, they've experienced this cathartic happening. I'm not sure. What do you think, kid?
I don't understand the dogs at all. I'm just going to come clean. I have no deep insight.
I think it maybe also just might not be as important as we're trying to make it be.
It's Damon being Damon and just dropping things in there to lead you down.
Answered. I mean, could you ever imagine them being like, oh yeah, and by the way, the dogs are the Guilty Remnant? It's never going to be like this aha scene where we're like, oh, we were right. So it's like to debate it forever. It's fun. It's fun, but let's face it, we're never going to get an answer as far as that goes. And we don't really, do we want one? I mean, like...
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that before we get to the next email. Is that something that you want? I remember Damon Lindelof always saying, the question is more engaging than the answer. And do you guys think that's the truth?
Here's what I think. Okay, so everybody on Twitter going, they're never going to answer why the departure happened and all that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
To give a comparison, there's The Walking Dead, right?
Yep.
And great time to plug that I have a Walking Dead podcast coming up. And
shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But The Walking Dead, I don't see anybody going around saying they're never going to explain how the zombie outbreak happened. Because nobody cares.
Yeah, so why is it so intense with
People
this?
need to get on that same train as far as this goes. Why does it matter? It's not important. There's things that happen in the world and that we don't know why they happen. And I mean, this is an extreme example of that. But don't, like, people are getting so caught up in that, but that's not the important thing. It's how people are dealing with it's the important thing. So that's how I kind of, I thought about it the other day. I'm like, people don't ask. I've never seen somebody say it. I don't like this show because they'll never explain why the zombie outbreak happened.
That's a great
because
comparison.
That would be stupid.
Yeah, because I remember Lindelof, when I was also telling you about that question and answer thing, he also said George Lucas ruined the most amazing reveal in cinematic history. Luke, I am your father. Why would you ever consider ruining that reveil?
Shots
What?
fired.
Yeah,
I need to know.
Especially with his buddy J.J. Abrams taking over for Star Wars, that he's gonna lampoon him like that.
But like, listen, you say what you want about the prequels. I thought they were okay movies. They were fine. But I agree with Lindelof in saying I don't want to know going into the original trilogy that Darth Vader is Luke's father. Sorry, spoiler alert. Darth Vader is Luke's father. I don't want to know that.
10-year rule. After 10 years, you can spoil whatever.
I know, true. That's right.
You can spoil the pilot of Lost.
So, with that said, why would you do that? And in bringing this back full circle, why would you want to ruin why people were departed? I don't think it's as important as everyone wants it to be, and I think it's just a Damon Lindelof stigma that they're like, oh well, it's Lindelof, he ain't gonna answer anything, so people are inherently pissed off about it.
John wrote in, Blake. What did he have to say?
He said, John says, first off, he thinks it'd be interesting to discuss what kind of people the show has connected with. In other words, like, deeply involved TV viewers or people who've never participated in podcasts or opinionated on theories and stuff like that. Do you think that this show is for certain people and it's not for certain people? What do you guys think?
I think it's not for a popcorn Transformers audience. I think that it's never going to be the biggest show of all time. It's never going to be the number one show on TV. But I do think that if people give it a chance and take away their weird expectations that people have for no reason, I think it's really weird hearing some of the reasons that people don't like it. But I think that it's a smart show, and for that reason you have to have patience, and you have to, you're going to want to have to think about it. And you can watch the show without thinking about it. You can just watch episode to episode, and as soon as it's over, it's completely out of your brain and you move on. I think that would be difficult to do, but it's possible, and you can still enjoy the show even without giving it the millions of hours of thought that we have accumulatively on the show.
Yeah. I don't think I would have watched it had I not done the extra rehashing, as terrible as that is. I'm like a sinner for saying that, but I am the popcorn person. I'm the girl that wants to watch TV to escape from things. And I'm going to be honest, it was hard for me in the beginning because it was so Debbie Downer. And it is. It's you're dealing with grief that so many of the people have disappeared. So I like that I've had the chance to dig deeper, and I've heard from some people that don't have the opportunity or don't listen to podcasts, or maybe they just watch it by themselves and they're not really into that. They just want to watch something to escape and not think about it anymore, and they give up. And as I said, I would have been one of those people if it weren't for Blake and you guys and the whole Twitter community.
Yeah,
I
mean, I agree with what you guys are saying. I think it's definitely, obviously, it's not for everybody. And I think it's people who have been followers of HBO. I think most people would have given it a shot. The trailers were very intriguing. And I think it's for people who are, I don't want to say like on the cutting edge because that sounds cheesy, but people who are present with what's going on in television, and they read about television and they read about new series and, how things are shifting. And I think it's a show that people didn't just kind of happen upon. They sought out what was going on and what's new.
I think another big difference is it's a premium channel. So people who are watching HBO often they're not watching it just for the free movies. They're watching it because of series like Game of Thrones.
I agree.
And
because they're smart. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that is something that definitely helps. People who have asked me about The Leftovers who don't subscribe, they're obviously not probably going to watch it unless I give them my HBO password, which I have. I've done that.
And HBO wants you to do that, by the
Select
way.
few.
Yes, but it's I think by doing that it eliminates the easy show watchers.
I agree with you, and the HBO thing is one of those. It's like the beginning tests that you take at school. Like they weed out the dumb kids, and if you're watching HBO, you're watching it for a very specific reason. And this show, swears aside and sex scenes aside, whatever, this show would not be able to succeed on a network. Cable on a network at all, like NBC or ABC. It just wouldn't be able to have the punch that it needs. You wouldn't be able to give the time that's necessary to understand the characters. You guys were right. In the beginning part of the season, even I, a Lindelof fanboy, was like, okay, where are we going here? Why are we actually...
It was a little rough to get into.
It was. It's because, all right, the thing that I had with this show was in Breaking Bad, right? You understood what the premise was. Walter White, spoiler alert, had to make drugs to provide for his family before he croaked. Okay? Lost was, hey, we're on this island at first. How the hell do we get off this island? 24 was, dude, there's a terrorist. Let's get the terrorist.
Save the government.
Yeah, like, okay, so you have that premise. Then you have The Leftovers, and it was, okay, Chuck, man, this world sucks, bro. Like
people disappeared. Oh, by the way, we're not going to tell you how or why.
Yeah.
Everything sucks more and more every day.
I know.
Here they are, and they're just sad.
Yeah, so what is the point? Why are we watching this? What are we working towards?
I think it's I think it's the same thing as something like Requiem for a Dream. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that they draw out the depression in the show. Mm-hmm. Requiem for a Dream was just like, an ending of complete, like, wow, there's no silver lining to this. This is just totally screwed up. But I think that that's a story to tell you this is how the world is sometimes. Sometimes things don't, there's ups and downs, but this is more of a downward curving situation for these people. And there's not a lot of silver lining. And, that's what happens sometimes.
But I think once you accept that, it was hard for me to swallow. But once you do accept that, and I think having that interview with Kathleen Felter, who she said that she feels like the theme of the show is hope. Really hope in times of darkness. It made me look at things in a totally different way. Because, God, we all have those terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days where everything just sucks. And granted, it is on no level of The Leftovers. But it's good to see, it's good to know that one of the writers believes the theme is hope.
Sure. And getting back to the question, ultimately, like Breaking Bad, this show found its audience, and it performed, pretty well, within context of it being a new show, especially on HBO. It found its audience, it found who it wanted to be, and where it wanted to be. So I think it succeeded in that way. He made a couple of other observations. We're going to get to that right now. First, he asked, or at least observed, why people departed. And what do you guys think of why people departed?
Aliens. That's me. Mary thinks it's aliens. Enough said.
Oh, boy. Yeah. I'm not going to go with the alien. I know. Dylan, what do you think?
Oh, Dylan.
Did we lose him?
Did we lose him?
Oh my God, did he suddenly depart?
He departed!
I am totally keeping this in the podcast,
It's because
by the
we
way.
asked. It's because the aliens heard us.
You scared us. We thought you
departed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny as I came back and I heard you guys talking about that, and I didn't know you guys were talking about me, so I'm like, oh, I didn't miss anything. Cool. I thought you guys were just going on about something.
I'm keeping this in the podcast, by the way.
I did not depart.
I wonder if that happened to anybody. Anyone was hiding or just was
Or
away for a while.
Podcast about a TV show.
Yeah, and people thought they departed, and then they came back 5 hours later, and they're like, guys, I was at the movies.
I was fine. I went to go see The Godfather 3 times. What's the problem with that? All right, so let's get to it. Dylan, why do you think that people departed?
I think it's at random. I really liked your theory that I'm going to keep allowing it to be your theory.
Oh, thank you.
Which was that it was what people, want, like the Nora's kids. She was irritated, so she was like, I don't want them to be here. And they didn't know if they wanted to keep or Lori didn't know if she wanted the baby and all that kind of stuff kind of combined together. So I like that. But I think I'm going to let that be your theory, and I'm going to kind of keep my idea that it's at random.
Okay. Tiffany, what do you got?
I'm with you there, Dylan, too. I really like Blake's theory as well because so many of the people that were spotlighted, we could find a reason for that, for people to be frustrated and annoyed in that moment. But I think it's kind of like the departure itself. I don't think it really matters why they were selected. I think it was just random. I agree.
It's almost a be careful what you wish for type deal, where even in that one moment, even if you regret it and you don't really mean it, but listen, you thought it and you might suffer the consequences. Now, do I really believe that's the case? I don't know. It's too convenient, and I know it was my theory, and I'll stick with it. But like, it's a little convenient for that to be like that. I think you're probably right, though. It's probably just a random thing.
Dylan, what did Terry have to say?
So now she basically is asking if the next season. I think this is kind of spawned from the like American Horror Story and True Detective kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the show is going to be so. She's saying there's 3 different options of what this could be. They could remain in Mapleton with the same characters, or the story changes locales and characters, or some characters somehow interwoven with other characters.
I like option number 3.
What do you make of number 3? I'm trying to process that.
Yeah, is she saying that a whole new slew of characters are going to come in and kind of interact with people? Because that kind of happens on shows. So we could get some new characters in here.
Yeah, I want the Affleck guys to start coming in some more. So, and I want, since there's groups like the GR all over the country that are different. Well, all the GR people are like dead. Their houses are burned. If they're not, they're crying at Matt's shoulder. So I think we're going to need some new characters because a lot of people croaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to end up seeing, because this was obviously very localized to Mapleton. Do I want to see other towns and other people getting involved? Yeah, definitely. Just because we've already seen a lot of the story being told. I mean, not a lot, but we've seen a pretty good story being told in Mapleton. And in getting new characters, getting new people interwoven with the characters that we already know and love, characters that we've come to actually understand, I think that would breathe some good life into the show. What do you guys think? Oh, actually, I'm sorry. What do you got? What do you got, honey?
Oh, I want to know who Patty's boss was. Like, I want the next Patty, like the top Patty, the top GR people to come on in and be even more badass than Patty.
Oh, yeah. Maybe like they come in and try to like clean up the problems, clean up the mess.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
There's absolutely no chance of this being a True Detective type of thing where they have a whole new story and everything, because there's set up so many things for a reason that were left unanswered that they seem to do to set up future plots.
Oh, like the Russia thing?
Correct.
Yes.
And, the Russia thing, a lot of things with Kevin Garvey Sr., I think he's going to be a bigger focus in the next season.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that they will continue the next episode, a couple months where this left off, and keep the same characters.
And we can't leave Justin Theroux's package. I mean, there's just no way Mapleton can live without it. So
I think the show gained popularity because of that.
Yes.
Just to piggyback on what you were saying, Dylan, also, I think a big problem that a lot of people were having in the beginning was that, this huge dramatic thing happened, but we didn't really know the characters. And I know for me personally, character development is huge. Like, I need to know, why do I care about these people? Why am I rooting for them or rooting against them? And I think so much of this series was building up who these people are, and we were finding out who they are, that it would be silly to just start off with a brand new bunch of people. Mm-hmm. Like, it took forever to get to the point where we're like, oh, I had these feelings about this person,
Thank you, everyone, for all of those awesome emails. All right, and now it's time for us to check out the voicemails.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Hey, this is for the Leftovers MegaCast. It is Shakita, a.k.a. Serena6783. I just want to thank you guys for doing a podcast for this show, for this season. It was really, really helpful. I don't have friends who are interested in intelligent television. They're mostly caught up in the reality shows of the world. So I'm happy that there was some people that I can discuss the show with and, go over theories and analyze it every episode. So that was really great for me. I was a huge Lostie, like big, giant Lost fan here. So, this was really great for me. I was so excited for the show to begin. My question for all of you is, what is your favorite part about The Leftovers? It can be anything from the characters to the story. I just want to know what drew you guys to the show and why you love it so much. Okay? Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Okay, so I'll take it first, just because I love Lost, and I think that's great. And Shakita, as always, thank you so much for participating in both of our podcasts. I'll speak for The Guilty Remnant as I'm speaking. You were great. But in terms of my favorite part of the show, I've already said at the beginning of the podcast, and I'll reiterate it. I loved that it gave me that kind of feeling again, that Lost type feeling where I just wanted to know what was happening next. I wanted to know everything about the show, everything about the characters. I wanted to break it down. I was up at nights thinking about it, and maybe it was just because I was doing a podcast about it, but it made me engage with it, and I thought that was the best thing.
My favorite part has actually been the interaction once the episode ends. Everyone going on different social media, even just how HBO has interacted. It's just taken a television show and made it such a conversational piece. I wish I had a water cooler at work. I wish I had like more than one person that I worked with, and then I could talk about this show with the next day and even for the next week, because this show makes you dig deeper, and I love the conversations because they're pretty intense conversations, and I like that we get to have them.
All of the above there. Also, just adding on to that, aside from the fact that it's just so fun to pick apart and find all the Easter eggs, I just thoroughly enjoyed watching Justin Theroux and Carrie Coons interact. I thought that their scenes together were just so raw and real. It was just really, really great television.
I think, well, first of all, I'd like to agree with Shakita. One of the reasons I got into listening to podcasts for TV shows was for a similar reason, as I had a show or two that I didn't have a lot of friends that listened to or that could have really smart conversations about it, and that's really what got me into it. So I'm completely with her on that. Other thing I want to say is just like I said earlier, is the interactivity. You know, how you can get a lot of depth in the story by spending a little extra time reading National Geographic magazine and that kind of stuff. You know, you just gain extra stuff by doing a little extra research that the show kind of pushes you to do.
Hi, guys. This is Alan calling from Nashville, Tennessee, and I am a Leftovers fanatic at this point. My wife and I both, it was appointment TV for us, so we're pretty happy that it came into our lives. The one thing for the MegaCast that I wanted to ask, I had just kind of an observation pretty early into the season. I noticed that after the departure, that there weren't any children, you know, there were teenagers, but there weren't any children that I saw. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any babies, any children until, of course, Wayne's baby showed up. I wonder if that's significant in any way. I thought that maybe during the hospital scene when everyone kind of freaked out and Tom went running out of the hospital, I thought maybe they all were looking not just because she had been beaten up, but maybe because that she was pregnant to start with, and they were kind of shocked by that. Maybe there had been no pregnancy since the departure because it'd been 3 years. So anyway, that's just an observation I had. Maybe it's been talked about before, but anyway, I enjoy the podcast, and you guys keep it up, and we appreciate it. Bye.
Alan, thank you for calling in. I think I'm not exactly sure if I agree with this sentiment that there have been no babies born since the departure. I think it would have been explored. I think they would have talked about it. I think they would have given us a reason to even think about that. But ultimately, I don't think that was the case.
And Holy Winds did have a kid with Christian,
yeah, exactly,
and the other kid. So I don't think that.
I agree.
I think that would have been a bigger deal.
I've been so confused with all the animals that I haven't even had my eyes open for babies. Gosh, I just don't think any of the characters that we're following have anything to do with kids right now. So it's hard to, aside from Nora. Oh, but yeah, I don't really know. I don't know my theory on that.
Yeah, that wasn't something that I was ever thinking about. We did see I guess this wasn't a kid being born, but we did see the baby Sam in the beginning. I wasn't sure, Alan, if you were saying specifically babies being born since the departure, or if we just weren't seeing children and kids and babies. But yeah, not something that I really thought too much about.
Hey, Mary and Blake, it's Mike Cassidy calling one more time. Just finished the podcast and I had a couple of things to add as far as just saying thanks again for a great season, but also I thought maybe this could go on the MegaCast that you guys are doing, too, if you wanted to, like, put out theories, not on what season 2 is going to be, but, like, a good cold open for the first episode. What do you see that being? You know, like, how are they going to hook us in for season 2 on the first episode cold open? That'd be a good thing to talk about. I was thinking, I don't think this is going to happen, but it just popped in my head. How would you feel about it opening up where we see Nora's family that departed, and they're in an unrecognizable place that we don't know about, and it turns out then we see, like, the woman that Kevin was cleaning the gutters with, and then we see, I don't know, the woman's baby from the laundromat. We realize that season 2 is going to be all the departed, like where they are and what they're doing. I don't think that's going to happen, but just a thought. And also, just based on your sensibilities on TV and the way you talk about Lost, I really do think you guys would love Friday Night Lights. You guys should definitely give it a try. It's the way you say that you like the Lost because of how it's character-focused. Friday Night Lights may be the best show for character-focused plot. So give it a shot. It's got great music, great acting, great writing, everything. So check it out. Maybe even do a podcast on it. I think you guys would really, really enjoy it. So thanks again, guys, and we'll talk soon.
Mike, I think it's a cool idea that you were saying, which ultimately is, how is the season going to open up, and what if the season is all about the departed, showing where they are and what they've done? I think that would, I like the idea. I think it's a bold idea, but I think it would totally undercut everything that we would have seen in the first season. It would undercut the premise of the show. And I'm not sure if Damon Lindelof, if there's someone that could pull it off, it'd be Damon Lindelof, in my opinion. But I don't think he's going to do that. Ultimately, my first thought on where the show should open up, it should be right after what happened at the Guilty Remnant compound. It should be the total after effects of what happened. Maybe Patty's body gets discovered. Maybe it's Kevin in the immediate after effect. But I think it should linearly just take place right then and there.
I think that it's going to start off with Patty's boss rolling in, not talking, wearing white, and we're going to see what the boss men are like from the Guilty Remnant. I want to see some badass Guilty Remnants. That's what I think.
With, like, swords and stuff?
Yeah. Like, in like, minivans packed with bad things.
White minivans.
Yes.
Blake, I like what you were saying, but I kind of want to stick with what Dylan was saying earlier about potentially seeing the immediate aftermath of the departure itself.
I don't know. Cool. I don't know if it'll start off like that. I would love to see them leave that for episode 9 the same way and just keep that a similar thing, but I don't see it picking up in the immediate aftermath too. Almost every episode took place several months after the last one, except for the finale. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine it being a couple months later, but who knows? This show could do anything. I have, just like Blake said also, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what's going to happen next. And, every episode is just taking the story in a new direction. You can't begin to predict. So
yeah. And I'm willing to let the show take me where it wants to take me. I have complete faith in Lindelof and Parada as a team because they guided us through what seemed to be some troublesome first episodes, but then brought it all back together again and actually gave us a real season, something that it enveloped upon itself. And as a result, I think the best opportunity for it to do is just allow it to take us where it wants us to take us.
Hi guys, this is Missy, Twitter handle @HollyMuffinsMissy. I'm doing my piece to contribute to the Leftovers MegaCast with the Living Reminders and Guilty Remnant podcast. I love both of your podcast guys. I've heard them and appreciate them equally. I've heard plenty of listener feedback, and I agree with a lot of listeners and fans when they say that you guys give us a deeper reflection on this show. When the show was on hiatus for Labor Day weekend, you kept in touch with us via Twitter and rock and rolled with us on this wicked ride we know as the Leftovers. Very much looking forward to season 2. My thoughts about the context on Russia? Guys, this is getting deep. This show is like ninja in my brain. It leads me to research and read more. I mean, I found some interesting material online about Jim Jones, if anybody remembers him, the religious leader, cult leader that was in charge of the People's Temple that was known for that mass suicide in 1978 where all his members died from cyanide poisoning. Well, if you look up the suicide tape transcript, he talks about moving his cult to Russia and something about it being too late for Russia. I don't know if this ties into the plot somehow, but maybe you guys want to look it up, check it out, tweet me, let me know what you think. But I think the Aztec agent said this in reference to Jim Jones' testimony. Maybe he felt like Holy Wayne, Jim Jones, they're, both cult leaders. Maybe it's kind of like the same thing to them. Anyway, I think Russia's definitely going to play a part somehow in season 2. And I know I just have this gut-wrenching feeling that Holy Wayne is going to come back. He's going to return. And, well, if he doesn't, then something or someone will take over his place and his beliefs or his intentions. And I do want to see one or more of the departed come back, perhaps in like a dream sequence or something cruel to drive us mad. I know Lindelof can pull this off. I mean, he already has. So thanks, guys, so much. I want to say so much more, but I'm leaving room here for my fellow lefties, my brothers and sisters of the Leftovers family. And I'm always looking forward to more bonus material from the Living Reminders and Guilty Remnant podcast shows. And even though the Leftovers season's over, but hey, we're still here.
Missy, seeing the departed not necessarily come back to life, but in a dream sequence, I think that would be really cool. That might be a cool cold open. Getting back to Mike, what Mike was saying, maybe doing a dream sequence. The second season opens up, and boom, there's Nora's family, and Nora is interacting with them, and everything is totally fine, and it throws you off. You're like, holy shit! Like, wow, they got the family back. They're everything's cool. Maybe it's a flashback like episode 9, and then you realize, oh no, it's a dream sequence. I think that might be a cool opportunity. What do you think, Mary?
I guess I'd have to figure out if these people are dead or if they're just somewhere else, like invisible and still in the world or something. I don't know. I had a crazy dream when Blake and I were engaged, and his mom, who passed away before I even met her, came to me and talked to me, and I was in Blake's house, except I've never seen Blake's house when she was alive, and there was totally different furniture, and it was really creepy because I woke up and I was like, Blake, I had this crazy dream about your mom, except it wasn't your furniture and it looked like this, and he got all the shivers, and he's like, whoa, that's exactly how my house looked when my mom was alive. So, that being said, right?
That's totally true,
like,
by the way.
True story. So, I am now like a straight up believer that people who have passed away or somewhere, that they can totally come to you in dreams if they need to talk with you. So, yikes. Yeah, I would totally be down for a dream.
That's amazing, and I don't even want to follow you now, but I just want to touch on the end of what Missy's voicemail was saying about Holy Wayne coming back. I don't think we're done with him either. I think he's going to come back, A, in a dream sequence, B, a flashback, or in true Lindelof style, some sort of flash sideways. I definitely think we're going to see more from him.
Also, I mean, this is a little off topic, but I think just the way they're saying Holy Wayne may come back, I think that Patty will absolutely be back. I think there was a purpose to them saying, I don't remember exactly what her verbiage, but she was like, we're together now. Like, this is...
Oh, yeah, she said we're together all the way to the end.
All the way to the end. So I think that she's definitely going to be a character that continues to see him through visions. And I'd also said that I agreed that I think it would be really cool if a member of the Departed just shows up out of the blue. And maybe it can be explained that they didn't depart and everybody thought they had departed, or if they really were a departed person that shows up out of nowhere. I think that would be a huge way they can take the story in another direction, and they absolutely have the capability of doing that.
Oh man, that would be something. I go back and forth on that. If you had one person reappear, then what's going to have to happen then is that they are obligated at that point to explain the departure and why they departed.
Unless it's the baby.
That's exactly what I was arguing.
I don't think necessarily.
With Dylan.
I don't think necessarily, because they could still keep on this. I mean, they could just show the person come up and the person has no idea what happened. They have no memory. They're just like, oh no, I was chilling in the car and then I just showed up here naked or whatever. And they could just carry this story the exact same way.
Why are they
with
naked?
one?
Because they departed with their clothes.
Okay, they're not naked. These guys, and they're fully clothed in the exact same clothes that they were wearing then. Maybe they've outgrown it a little bit. No, I maybe a time jump where they were just there and all of a sudden they showed up in the park and now they're like, whoa, what happened?
Like the navigator.
Correct.
I don't know. I think if someone shows up, then the natural question, and now this within the context of the show, is, whoa, where the hell did you go? And that's going to happen in the show. And if it's going to happen in the show, the viewers need an answer if it's going to happen within the show. Because the thing that I've argued was the show never gave you the idea or the expectation within the context of the show that it knew the answers. And as a result of that, you can't expect it to give the answer. But if it has someone come back, then it's inferring that it does know the answer. And I'm not sure if I can get along with that.
Hi, Blake and Mary. This is Wim, and I'm calling in from the Netherlands. And I would like to share some thoughts that I have about the finale episode. What I would like to talk about is Wayne. As we learn in the finale episode, Wayne can actually grant wishes. He asked Kevin to make a wish, and I think what was really key in this moment is that he told Kevin he didn't have to say the wish, he could just think it. And this makes me believe that Wayne had a big part to play in the departure. A lot of people at the moment of the departure seem to be wishing for the same thing, namely for someone not to be there. Take, for example, the lady in the car with the crying baby in the backseat. This baby was crying relentlessly, and I think the lady was really just hoping for a moment that the baby would not be there so she wouldn't have to hear its crying. Going over to Nora. Nora was having breakfast with her husband and her kids, preparing for this big job interview and arguing with her husband, and the kids were making a mess at the table, and I bet when she turned to the kitchen she was just for a second wishing that they would not be there. Then Laurie. Laurie was at the doctor's office looking at the image of her unborn child on a monitor. And obviously we know that she was having marital problems with Kevin. And I think for a second that she was wishing that she was not pregnant so she wouldn't have to deal with that. So I think what happened in the departure is that all these people were wishing for someone not to be there. And their wish got granted. And I think that Wayne actually had a big part of
it. Got cut off.
It looks like it got cut off. Crap, that sucks.
Epic.
We got the juice, though.
Yeah, I mean, that was the most mind-blowing idea that we got. We'd already gotten the idea from Blake that it was a wish that people said, but that they put forth the idea, that Wayne can grant wishes that people have just thought. He's absolutely right. That totally. I need some time to think about that one, but I think that's outstanding.
Yeah, guys, I agree. That was a complete awesome job, and thank you for calling from the Netherlands. That's even cooler. But yeah. Ultimately, wow. Could Wayne? Does Wayne really have that ability? Does Wayne really have the ability to grant everybody's wish at that one moment, and then they all depart?
Maybe Wayne's an alien. That's where he got his brown underwear.
Oh, aliens!
Well, that would explain the brown underwear.
Alien, right?
I would totally be down with Wayne being part of the sudden departure. That guy's creepy.
That was great.
That was
crazy. Yeah, thanks, William.
Wow, Wim, excellent job.
Hi. First of all, I want to say that I've really enjoyed the podcast. You guys made watching the Leftovers season 1 a lot more enjoyable and interesting to watch. I was hoping to get the group's thoughts on this theory. I think that the ferocious dog cut loose by Jill contains the soul of Kevin and Laurie's lost offspring. The supernatural spirit inside of the dog can see Kevin's heart, initially seeing his desire to leave and his rejection of any new addition to the family, which produced much anger in the dog. But at the end of episode 12, a docile dog returns to Kevin, signifying forgiveness, if not approval, of Kevin's change of heart and his rekindled desire for a family.
Okay, so is the dog Kevin's soul? Oh, geez, I'm not sure.
The departed soul. Is it Kevin's soul, or is it the... It's not the departed kid? Is that what he said, or did I misunderstand
That's what he said, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's one of the departed. Okay.
Was he saying it was the soul of the departed kid that was Laurie's kid?
Well, let's go with this. Let's just say that it was the departed kid. If it was the departed kid, wow, that would actually kind of make sense.
That makes sense.
It does make sense.
He's bringing his family back.
Yes,
that's part of it.
And maybe that opens it up even more. Maybe the dogs or the animals, were going on with the Buddhist thing.
Oh my God, I just got chills. I know where you're going.
Maybe they were the souls of the departed.
Oh my God, I'm chills.
Add that to the Wayne thing, right? That he granted the wish. He was able to ungrant it in a way in this situation when he was able to grant somebody else's wish.
I kind of like how that kind of came full circle. And we were talking earlier about it being like kind of, the Buddhist and like reincarnation. I just thought that was a cool little addition there.
I totally agree. Like that literally just blew my mind as I was saying it. Like if the departed were indeed part of these animals, that would explain a lot. Why they're so vicious and why they're just like tearing deer apart and like barking at people and doing all that crap. Like that would be intense.
Except Kevin killed one.
Oh, Kevin killed a lot of dogs,
yeah.
dude.
I wonder who he killed.
Maybe he killed his baby.
No, his baby. Stop it.
No, the feral dog at the end was his baby.
Guys, this is getting real dark.
Yeah, I know, that's true.
It's already a dark show.
All right, let's get to the next one.
All right.
Hi, Leftovers MegaCast. So I have a theory that I'd like to see discussed on the upcoming MegaCast. This theory is, I believe that the GR is connected high up into the government and possibly running AvTech. And I think we might see this explored in Season 2 or 3. So to provide proof here, I kind of want to start in Episode 5 when Gladys is killed. So we see Gladys is killed by a highly trained team dressed in SWAT and riot gear. And remember, we know now, since Patty confirmed it later on in Episode 8, that she executed Gladys and that was part of the plan. So we know that was done by the guilty Remnant. So we see her killed by a highly trained team. And then the rest of the episode is spent between Kevin and an AvTech agent trying to get Gladys's body back, and the AvTech agent being very unresponsive and kind of strange. At one point, he actually asked Kevin if he'd like the AvTech to come in and wipe them out. I think that's another clue. I think this is the GR. If they're running AvTech, I think this is the GR testing to see kind of where that particular GR chapter stands in Mableton and how much further they can push Kevin along. And then at the end of the episode, we actually see AvTech receive Gladys's body, and it's in a room of other bodies that presumably are GR members, and they're being burned. So then fast forward to episode 8 here, when Kevin has Patty tied up. He questions her, saying, "Who is giving you your orders? There are chapters across the country. There must be someone giving out all these orders." Patty shakes it off and says that they don't give orders to anyone. And then later on in that scene, she confirms that she did indeed kill Gladys, and that Laurie's time will come and she will be ready as well. And I think this all but confirms the GR as a death cult where all the members are going to die. And to tie that into episode 5, I believe that could be other GR members that we saw at the end who had died previously at episode 5 who had been killed. And then let's move ahead to the finale. So in the finale, we see where Memorial Day finally happens, and they place all these bodies of the departed all over. An interesting note is they place them exactly where they were when they were departed, which I don't believe would be necessarily public knowledge for everyone. What I do believe is that the people who would have that information would be the agency that Nora works for and who pays out the benefits. They have to answer all those questions. Now, how the GR would have access to that, again, ties into the fact that they could be higher up, tied into AFTEC, and have information or have access to this information that would be deemed confidential. And then at the very end, we see where all the GR members are burning inside their houses, and they're all dying and burning inside the house. I think that ties nicely back into my theory as well, because we can see at the end of episode 5 with Gladys, where they are burning all the GR members also. So I think that ties back in nicely. So yeah, just interested in what you think of that theory, and thank you. Great podcast, really like it.
Wow, this is good stuff. Now, do I believe like this is like a full-on Hydra and Shield type deal? I don't think. That's spoiler alert, by the way, for those of you who watch Marvel. I don't think that's totally that case. But do I think that the Guilty Remnant does have the ability to hack into some of this stuff? Do they have, like they say, they're experts at getting information. Patty confirmed that herself. She says she's really good at getting information. She couldn't find Dean's stuff. Now, whether or not she was telling the truth or not or whatever, she at least has that ability. So, do they have people placed in certain areas and in certain organizations? Yeah, I'm willing to go along with that. I think they could. I think that's something that's plausible. What do you think, Mary?
I think the Guilty Remnants everywhere, or whatever crew they want to call themselves, whether it's the Guilty Remnant or whatever, and some of them are probably undercover, so they get to talk and they get to not wear white as long as they get their job done.
Totally on board with this. I think that they have members in all sorts of organizations, and I think that they are a lot more widespread than we have previously seen.
Do I think that is the case? No. Do I think it's possible? Absolutely. I think that, again, going on the, I don't know whether that's true, but it's possible. Absolutely. And I liked it. And I like the thinking as far as that goes, because this could go deeper than we see at face value. All right. So, as a last closing bonus, I have written 8 questions to kind of go over with everybody, just so you guys can get a little more to know about how we feel about things. A couple
this
of them about
is our
Leftovers.
top 8.
Yeah, it's our top 8. Tom's not on this one though, but so a couple of them are about the Leftovers, but other of them are about things that are nothing to do with the Leftovers, so you can kind of get to know us a little better. As a side note, we'll do this in the same order.
In full disclosure, we do not, Mary and Blake, do not know any of these questions. So
Tiffany doesn't know.
I don't either.
Tiffany knows like 2 of them, but she doesn't know any of them.
So this is good stuff. You're going to get the actual reaction from us. So I can't wait. Go ahead.
Okay, so favorite episode of the season and your least favorite episode of the season.
Favorite episode was the flashback episode. I think that is among the best hours of television that I have ever seen. It was just beautiful. And it's not necessarily the best episode of television because it's singularly, but within the context of the show, it was awesome. And worst episode, I'd probably say the second one. It just felt like it was just such a letdown after the pilot. How about you, Kim?
Kath wrote that.
I thought she wrote the third one.
She wrote the second one. The third one was the 2 boats and a helicopter.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh, you got
sorry,
to
Kath.
now.
Sorry, Kath.
No, he's still staying true.
I know. You know I love you.
I think my favorite episode was also the flashback, just because it gave me so much more well-rounded about knowing everybody. My least favorite was Gladys, for the sole reason that I couldn't watch Gladys get stoned. It was so painful. So I loved it, but it was the hardest for me to watch. I liked every single episode, but Gladys, there were parts that I had to keep covering my eyes.
Yeah, I really want to say that the flashback was my favorite, and it was brilliant. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it, but I also really thoroughly enjoyed Nora's episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my favorite part about that was it was the first completely different direction of filming that we had seen. So I really like that, and I just love watching her. I love every time she's on screen. I think she's amazing. And my least favorite, it's a toss-up. I was initially going to say the second episode, but I'm totally with you, Mary, in that I just felt like that was another level of darkness.
Yeah.
Like I was getting chills, and not in the good way.
Yeah.
So that one was pretty rough for me.
So for me, favorite episode was the third one. That was Two Boats and a Helicopter. That was the Reverend Jameson episode. So that was where I stand as my favorite episode. That one was the one that really took it to the next level for me.
I think that was the one that you had the most notes on, I remember.
And my least favorite episode was BJ and the AC. The one where he's trying to track down the doll the whole episode.
Oh, yeah. I think that might be a close second for me. I wasn't in love, although I did love the Black Keys note at the very beginning of the show. That was gorgeous. I think you're right. That's really good.
Okay, so next is the last leftovers question. Favorite character and least favorite character.
Kevin Garvey Jr. I love that character. He's like Jack Shepherd Part 2. And least favorite characters, the Ping Pong Boys. I don't get why everybody loves them so much. I don't think they're very particularly good actors, and they're just kind of dumb. So I can't stand them.
Okay, my favorite character is Kevin Sr. I just love him. Him running in the woods in his robe. I can't wait to have more of him in my life. And my least favorite character is Jill, because I hate teenage girls.
She has Dana Brody syndrome.
Yes. They literally every single show I watch when there's a teenage girl who's whining or I'm going to join the GR to stick it to my mom. I'm done with you.
I'm so angsty.
Yeah, yes. Otherwise known as Kim Bauer syndrome too.
Yep.
I can call Tiffany's right now. Her favorite character is Nora. Am I right?
Obviously.
Okay.
Obviously. I've been saying that the entire time. But I really love watching Liv Tyler as well, but Meg is annoying now. Yeah, Nora, absolutely. I think she's really great. Just her facial expressions, her acting, I just think she's wonderful.
Well, I was gonna ask you.
She was a theater actress before this too. This is her first major film role.
Wow, is it really? I know she's in a new movie coming out soon too.
Yeah, she's in the
good for her.
The David Fincher movie, Gone Baby or whatever that is.
Gone Girl. Yes.
Gone Girl. Yeah.
That's what it is. Well, actually, Tiffany, I was going to ask you: is it more the character of Nora, or is it more Carrie Coon?
Both, but I really love what they do with Nora, and I think she is just a brilliant example of grief, and just so many of her scenes I'm blown away, and I think especially the scene when she kind of laughs, like her laughter is kind of uncomfortable because she's just like, there's so much grief there, and it feels wrong that she's laughing, and you can see all the pain in her eyes. Just so much about her character.
I love the scene when she was sipping the martini too at the bar. I thought that was that was totally what would Nora do.
And that was ad lib too, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah, Kath had let us know that it was totally ad libbed.
That's amazing.
So if I say favorite character, it's like there's a major toss up.
Hey, you cut me off. I didn't say my least favorite.
I'm so sorry.
Come on.
Cut out me cutting her off. Please cut me out.
And I would have to say that my least favorite character is Amy. Because I think she's just like typical cheesy, hey, I'm the slutty friend. Everybody look, I'm not wearing a bra. I'm wearing a little belly top. I just think it's too overdone.
Yes.
It's too obvious, you know?
Ugh, teenagers.
Girls are such haters.
She's annoying.
So my favorite character, it's a toss-up between Reverend Jameson and Patty. I enjoyed every second that Reverend Jameson on the screen. It was just always, it was very lighthearted and funny in a show that usually isn't. And obviously my favorite episode is Two Boats and a Helicopter, and he's the main one. But Ann Dowd's acting and just how blown away I was by that whole Patty situation and Ann Dowd. So that tips it over for me, and I have to say Patty, and it's all because of Ann Dowd. It's not because of Patty's character necessarily, it's because of Ann Dowd.
Completely agree.
Least favorite character, I thought this would be said on all of them, so I'm so shocked that I was able to say this. But who do you guys think I'm going to say? Anybody?
Holy Wayne.
No, it's Christine.
I forgot all about Christine.
Damn it.
I'm officially changing my answer.
I changed my answer.
Yes.
She sucks.
Oh my God, she sucks more than Jill.
Oh.
Yeah,
You win.
She does.
It was not only, and no offense to anybody, but not only is the character, I didn't like the character, I didn't think she was written well, I didn't think the actress did a good job either. So it was on both levels I didn't like.
Oh, complete agreeance. The whole thing with Christine, just even the plot, everything sucked. I hated it.
Didn't do it for me. Favorite movie? Go.
Oh, The Godfather Part. Ooh, I go back and forth. Godfather Part 2. I'm going to go with it. Part 2.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
You're a wizard, Harry.
this is hard, and you can't make fun of me for being cliche, but Annie Hall. Because I just saw it for the first time like 2 years ago.
Oh,
I know.
So cute.
That's a really good movie, and that was like the first time scramble movie too. Its historical significance is really important too. Mine is Jurassic Park, and
Good call.
I've never seen a Harry Potter movie. I haven't seen any of the Harry Potter.
What?
Whoa.
I was gonna kind of wait and read them, and then I never got a chance to read them. So I will watch Harry Potter. It's on. It's obviously it's important to watch, but I've never seen the Harry Potter.
You can watch 1, 2, and 3. From then on, you need to read.
Oh yeah, I agree.
You can even watch 4. From 5, you need to read.
True story. I would not have been married or dated Mary unless I actually watched Harry Potter. When we first met, everything went well. We were like, oh yeah, I love you. This is really cool. Like within the first week or so. And she's like, have you ever seen Harry Potter? And I was like, oh dude, fuck that. I ain't watching no Harry Potter. That sucks. And she's like, you could hear the record screech. And she was like, we cannot go further unless you watch Harry Potter.
So are you saying that if I had seen Harry Potter by now, I'd probably be married with a kid?
To me.
Yeah, to Tiffany. Yeah. Hey, dude, bro, it's your loss. You screwed up.
I wish I could go back in time now. I wish I had my own flashback episode.
We should have gone to see Harry Potter instead of Zack and Mary Make a Porno.
Oh my god. Okay, so favorite show.
Kevin Smith's worst movie, by the way. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Clerks 2 is pretty bad too. But and they did Cop Out.
Oh yeah. You know what? You're right. Cop Out sucked.
It's like they're not even listing it as Kevin Smith anymore because they're like, that's not going to sell us tickets, so we're gonna just okay. Favorite TV show of all time that's not The Leftovers.
Lost. That's an obvious one.
That was so easy for you.
I know.
I don't know.
I didn't even skip a beat. I was just immediately.
did.
I was going to answer the question before you even asked it.
You're just gonna whatever he asked.
Lost everything.
God, I don't know. I need to go. I need to be skipped. I'll come back. It's like when we're at a restaurant. Come back.
I mean, stress for you, Mary. So yeah, we'll skip you for this one. Thanks.
Dylan, I love you, but I hate questions like this so much. It's too hard. There are too many amazing shows, and I'm just going to have to go with something that I'm watching right now because it's topical. And I only watched the first 3 a long time ago, and so I'm catching back up, and 30 Rock.
That's a good show, though. I like that show.
Mm-hmm.
I had stopped. I had watched that for several seasons, and I just let the episodes pile up, and then I just kind of never got
That's
back.
what I did, and then I picked back up with it recently because it's quick, it's funny, it's light, and after a long day, I'm just like, yeah, I want to put that on.
The exact opposite of
laugh.
Leftovers.
I'm watching Parks and Rec right now, and
I just started that.
I'm getting through that, and Ron Swanson's like one of the funniest characters ever. Okay, so my favorite show, and that's for nostalgic purposes, is 24. That was the biggest deal for me when it was on. It was like literally the most important thing in my life, which is really pathetic. But if I want to say the best show that I think has ever been done is Breaking Bad. I think Breaking Bad is the best. And honorable mentions to The Office. I'm a huge Office fan. I just am on a constant rewatching The Office phase always in my life.
I would agree with that. I was surprised that Breaking Bad isn't your favorite show. I would have bet the house on that. You would have said that one.
I think it's the best done show ever. I think that's the only show I can say never did a misstep ever. They never wrote themselves into a hole. They never made any mistakes. I can't think of a single mistake they ever made.
Even the Fly episode?
What?
Oh, the Fly.
The Fly episode?
I thought the Fly episode was a perfect standalone just episode. I didn't think that was filler. I think a lot of shows have done stuff like that and it ended up being filler. But I don't think the Fly episode was a mistake at all. I think it was a part of Jesse and Walt's character development together, their relationship development. And I thought it was important to show how weird and psycho Walt could be. That was like his first psycho moment. It was like, you can't do anything with this fly in here. Anyway, Spoiler alert, there's a fly in the lab. Spoiler alert. Mary, we can get to you.
Okay, so I don't really watch a lot of pop TV until I started dating Blake. I watched Lost. That was really it. But I'm currently really big into Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. So if you count that, great. If you don't want to count that, Blake and I did a big rewatch of Felicity recently.
Yes.
So.
I knew you were going to say that.
Kerry Russell for life.
And you know what? No, it's J.J. Abrams for life, bro. J.J. Abrams created Felicity, for all of you who do not know that.
I did not know that.
And he did, and he was the showrunner. And I watched Felicity just because of that.
And you liked it.
And I loved it, as a matter of fact. Team Ben.
If you could choose your last meal, what would it be?
Oh, a whole plate of bacon. Just bacon. Give me 4 packs of bacon. Because I'm going to die anyway, so it might as well be just bacon.
I would have a lot of tacos with extra olives.
This is really hard. I'm back and forth between sushi and Mexican food, but also just like a really solid burger and fries. I would be totally happy with.
Get a California roll taco.
There you go.
Mine would be a quesadilla, just a simple quesadilla. I love a quesadilla. It's
You
my
love
favorite.
quesadillas.
I love quesadillas.
With sour cream?
With sour cream, without sour cream, with hot sauce, without hot sauce, whatever. I'll take it any way I can get it. I love quesadillas.
It's non-discriminatory quesadilla eating.
Favorite sports team? If you have a favorite sports team.
The Red Sox, by far. It's if you're not from Boston, you don't understand
I
it.
love that with Lost, too.
I know, it's true, right? That's why the Red Sox will never win the World Series. Wrong, bitch. How you like me now? No, the Red Sox, if you're not from Boston, you don't understand it. It's the Red Sox here are bigger than anything you could think of. Like, it's passed down from father to son. It's a rite of passage. Yeah, no, way bigger than the Celtics.
So much bigger.
Way bigger than the Bruins are a close second, but the Red Sox themselves, it's bigger than the game. It's bigger than one person.
It's a religion.
It really is. And like I remember when the Red Sox won the World Series, people would literally go to their grandparents' grave and put like the banner on their grave. Or they would like have that, like there was like a candlelight vigil, you know, like at my school. We had the day off from college when they won. And the president of my school was actually a Yankees fan, and he gave us the day off. So like it was a big deal. It was a big deal. Mary, how about you?
I don't really care for sports unless Blake makes me watch it, or if it's like fun. If I get to watch it and I'm there, for example, that's great. I'm not going to sit and watch a whole baseball game. That gets boring.
Who's your favorite Quidditch team?
You're a wizard, Harry.
Oh, gosh. Well, see, I would be on Gryffindor.
I don't understand
Obviously.
this reference.
I know. I'm like saying pig Latin. You know, I do root really loudly when the Olympics are on, so I'd have to say my favorite team is USA.
Yay! Go America!
That was like so PC. I love it. Sports. You know, I've really tried to be the cool girl and get into sports, and I don't care. No. I would have to say the Angels for baseball because I'm from Orange County and my dad loves the Angels, and I understand baseball. Football, I could care less. Basketball, I live in LA now, so Lakers. I know what you're going to say, Dylan.
Of course, everybody that knows me knows what I'm going to say. But Lakers, I'm a diehard Lakers fan. I don't really watch any other sport besides basketball. I watched a little bit. I went to a Chargers game today because I live in San Diego. I'm interested to go and see some other teams. I don't follow them as closely. I don't watch every game of anybody, but Lakers by far. It's been like that for a long time for me. Now, we don't go to the graves of people when the Lakers win championships because they win so many. Things would pile up on the graves.
All right, let's time out. Let's time out because the Celtics have the most championships in all of the NBA.
By one.
So I don't even want to hear it, okay? We still have it.
Next question, Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?
Oh, there's only one trilogy on this planet. Thank you, Clerks 2, and it is Star Wars. That's it. The Lord of the Rings can't even hold Star Wars jock. Not even close.
Okay, so had you asked me this question a few years back, I would have said Star Wars. But then Jar Jar Binks came, so for that, I'm going to stick with Frodo and stick with the Lord of the Rings.
Listen, I can't atone for George Lucas's sins.
Exactly.
Only J.J. Abrams can. Please, J.J., save Star Wars.
You guys are going to slay me for this answer, but it's been so long since I've seen either of them, but I feel like I have a closer relationship with Star Wars. I liked Lord of the Rings, but they were a little too slow moving for me, so I'm gonna stick by Star Wars.
Thank you.
I liked Return of the King because it ended 9 times, but absolutely Star Wars. I've been ever since before I could remember. I was crying about Yoda dying. Oh, spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Sorry, I was crying about Yoda dying. For a second, I said, "Oh my god," because I thought you were going to sustain from answering the question. I thought you were like, "Oh, I haven't seen either of them. I don't really care." I was going, whoa. But yeah, Star Wars.
The Lord of the Rings was literally just people staring at a ring all day.
No, it's deeper than
walking
that, Blake.
through giant fields.
Yeah, and Frodo was such a pussy. Like, I can't stand Frodo. He's like, the ring, it makes my heart hurt. And he like faints every 10 minutes.
The thing was, I felt like I wasn't into that type of genre, fantasy genre. But then I'm full boat into Game of Thrones. So after Game of Thrones came out, I don't blame it on the fantasy genre anymore. I blame it on the Lord of the Rings. I'm just not as interested into it, and I don't understand the mythology nearly as much. I think Star Wars is better for to understand and not to be bored during it. Which Lord of the Rings, let's face it, a lot of people are bored during it. Sorry, I know somebody sitting there probably freaking out right now.
Me, I am freaking out.
Okay, last question, and it's kind of an original one. This actually Tiffany thought of, kind of. No, she thought of this. I just added in one of the options. E-reader, audiobook, or an actual book.
Oh, actual book. There's nothing like holding a real book in your hands. I love going to a library and smelling the old must from the paper. There's nothing like it. I cannot stand reading a book on a digital interface. And listening to books sucks too, because you can't go at your own pace. You're listening to someone else read it. I can't stand that. Mary, what do you got?
Well, because we have a toddler, I have to do audiobooks. Blake, when was the last time you actually read a book? Exactly. So, see, I am now able to read books thanks to audiobooks when I'm carting him around the car or going for walks. I'm staying cultured.
That's true. Way more cultured than me.
So, audiobooks for right now.
Tiffany's going to say actual book.
Well, I'm going to say both. I'm going to say actual book because I love holding it, and my bookcase is about to crash right now because all my shelves are just caving in. I love holding actual books. I'm with you, Blake. I'm weird and I like the smell. But I have a commute. I have a 45-minute commute to work, so I'm totally on board with Audible and being able to listen to books to cut the drive.
My bookshelf is overflowing too because it has a bunch of books that I'm never going to read on it. But I'm do you still have my Audible account on your phone?
No, that's not what I was referring to at all.
But yeah, mine's audiobook too. It's so I can drive and read it, or I can do something else. I can play Free Cell on a computer or do something else to kind of keep me a little more occupied. It helps me focus more. So,
did you just say Free Cell?
Free Cell, yeah, I love Free Cell. I'm trying to get into Free Cell theory and find out the shortest amount of moves possible in Free Cell. I'm all about it. Anyway.
Dylan, I wish I had your Audible account on my phone too, but I am too busy listening to the Guilty Remnant podcast to do anything else in the car other than just listen to you guys.
That was a great plug.
Yeah, you like that, huh?
I'm always listening to ourselves too. So.
Damn you. All right, want to close out the show?
All right,
let's do it.
Speaking of that, let's see. What other shameless plugs can we throw at everybody?
So for me, like I mentioned earlier, I am going to be doing a Walking Dead podcast with a gentleman named Dan Fields, who does Save It for the Show podcast, and we are going to be starting next week. We're going to be uploading it to iTunes, and it might take a couple of days. We're recording it on Monday night, so it should be around Thursday. But it is called The Dead Inside Show. You can find it on deadinsideshow.com, or you can follow us on Twitter if you want our updates when we release the episodes at Dead Inside Show.
Nice. I'm definitely going to listen to that.
Yeah, if you guys want to follow, obviously our Guilty Remnant podcast is at Guilty Remnant. If you want to follow me personally, you can find me at Tiffany Tomaszewski. That's TiffanyTomaszewer.
And I'm at Schuckster. That's SCHUCKSTER.
And for us, we obviously have the Living Reminders podcast. That's at everything you can think of, Twitter and Facebook. It's all Living Reminders. And we also have the Outlander podcast, which is called Outlander Cast. Again, all the Twitter, all the handles, everything is Outlander Cast. And we also have a parenting podcast called Parent Cast. So that and everything, all the handles is Parent Cast. So that's where you can find us. You can find Mary on Twitter at Mary Larson, and I'm at Blake Larson 83. And that's all we got.
I'm Mary __ Larson.
Oh, yes, you are. I'm sorry about that.
__.
I know. There was already a Mary Larson, and there was already a Mary _ Larson. So I had to go for 2 underscores. It's terrible.
Now, you guys are going to be doing The Leftovers next season, correct?
You bet.
Okay. We're going to be doing it too. So if you guys obviously get on there and follow us so you don't miss it, or give us a subscribe on iTunes for both of our podcasts.
That's right.
This is not the end.
This is not the end.
We're still here.
But it is for now.
It is the break.
Yeah, and make sure you go and listen to all the other podcasts. For the Leftovers too. Everyone's got something to say. Everyone catches things that obviously we may miss or not. And send us some reviews and love and care. We're all one big community, and the more that we get together like this Megacast, the better it is for everybody. So this has been an awesome experience, guys.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, really great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gents, that wraps it up. So thank you for tuning in to the MegaCast. We cannot wait to do, next season's MegaCast. I'm already looking forward to it already.
MegaCast 2.0.
You know what, guys? I'm calling it now. We should do a MegaCast after the next season premiere.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea.
But maybe midweek. So we'll do our regular premiere recap, but then we should do, a check-in. Oh my God.
I think we can.
I'm interested. I don't want to give any promises. I don't want to give any promises based on if we didn't get it done at that time. Our heads are going to get ripped off. Yeah, we don't want to
just
make
an
anybody
idea.
mad like we made them this last 2 weeks. And again, thank you for everybody's patience. We're sorry that we didn't get it in the week after the finale, but these came up, and I'm sure everybody can understand.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, everybody. I'm Mary.
My name is Blake.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm Tiffany.
And you've been listening to the Leftovers MegaCast.